Hello and welcome to the Business of Meeting podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rosenberg. Over the years, I've had the privilege of helping businesses in the meetings and event industry grow and succeed. And I'm excited to share that experience with you. If you feel alone and overwhelmed, and if you're looking to take your business to the next level, improve your strategy and sales, and connect with like-minded professionals, you are in the right place. I invite you to visit eventbusinessformula.com and join our community of event business owners dedicated to exponential growth. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. And today is a very special day. I have the great pleasure and honor of speaking with someone I've been trying to be on the podcast with him for months, if not years. We crossed paths at the MPI Foundation in the industry, and he's a true icon. We're going to talk about his career. We're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about the brand. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Frank Passanante, the global head of sales of Hilton. Frank, I'm so happy to speak with you today.
Well, thank you, Eric. Awesome. Thanks for welcoming me. I don't think you had to work as hard as you made it sound like you had to work. This is an awesome pleasure. I'm honored to be a part of the podcast today, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My very first question, Frank, I ask all my guests that. What's your journey and how did you get into our industry?
So I appreciate that question because it's something that I obviously, reflecting back on my career, am often asked now. And it was about when I was 13 or 14 years old. I went on a family vacation with my parents. We stayed at the Hilton Hawaiian Village on Waikiki.
Yep.
And I pulled a book out of the bedside nightstand, Be My Guest by Conrad Hilton. And literally from that moment on, for whatever reason, I became obsessed with wanting to be in the hotel business. The story that he told, his desire to dream big and to use hospitality as a vehicle to spread light and warmth, it struck me at that age. And from that point on, I said, I'm going to be in the hotel business. And I started to pursue it. That's when I started to do odd jobs and then ultimately went to university and studied hospitality administration, started working in hotels and restaurants, did everything in restaurants, in hotels. My first hotel job was a night auditor gig and ultimately led me to a career in hotel sales. And it has been nothing but hotels. And quite frankly, nothing but sales since. I joined Hilton right out of university.
Wow.
Just about every major hotel company came to recruit and interview potential candidates. And at that point, I had really set my sights a sales and marketing career and had identified that Hilton was the company that I wanted to work for. So I did join Hilton right out of college in a training program that lasted about 2 weeks, intended for 6 months, turned into 2 weeks. And I found myself as a sales manager at a beautiful hotel in Orlando in Lake Buena Vista, which is still one of our hotels today. The Hilton at Lake Buena Vista is where I started my career. And that was the beginning of many on-property jobs in sales before I started progressing into leadership. So I've been at it a while, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing. It's what I wanted to do. It's what I pursued, and it's something that I'm still passionate about.
Wow, that's very impressive and unique, I would say. I don't know many people who at a young age knew exactly what they wanted to do. As I told my daughters, I'm still looking for what I really want to do one day in my life. But that's amazing doing that. By the way, I also have a quick story with Hilton. Is now this month I'm celebrating 25th anniversary with my wife, and we got married at the Hilton Brussels, which unfortunately not there, but yeah,
absolutely.
It was amazing, amazing.
I was just going to say, listen, you're right. There's not a lot of folks that know early on. But if this industry wasn't as dynamic, if there weren't as many, ever changing opportunities that are presented to us to stay in the same line of work, but continue to challenge yourself, then it probably wouldn't be something I'm still with. But as you know, certainly on the meeting side of the business, and as folks are looking at getting into this space, it's so dynamic, it's so exciting, there's so much happening. It's just something that's really been fun to be a part of for all these years.
Absolutely. One thing that struck me as well is that you often refer to sales as the noble profession. And quite frankly, I don't hear that many often. So I'd love to understand that. And also, what is your personal leadership philosophy? I had recently Kim Napolitano on the podcast as well. There seems to be something with people at Hilton. So I'd love to, something very nice and positive and attractive, I mean. And by the way, this is not paid. This is me saying exactly what I think, as people know me knows. But I'd like to know about your personal leadership philosophy. How do you look at that?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Kim because Kim is an absolute disciple, what we call selling with noble purpose. You ask about, me being on record. Many years ago, I would say to people, sales is a noble profession. Because, sales, let's be honest, has a bit of a reputation if you look at sales across lots of different disciplines. And the way that I would describe it is listen, what we do is we solve people's problems, listen to customers, we understand what they need and want, and then we match what we're offering to what they need, and we help them to solve problems. And the core philosophy is that sales success is simply a natural outcome when a seller genuinely cares about their customer and tries to give them the value that they're looking for. So I've been on record as saying, listen, sales is a noble profession. What we do is important work. We are solving customers' problems, and it is noble, and you should be proud and excited to be in sales. So somebody picked up on that I was talking to one day and said, hey, listen, have you heard of this author? Her name is Lisa McLeod. She's written this book called Selling with Noble Purpose. And I hadn't, but they connected me with Lisa, and we've created a really terrific relationship. And she spent a lot of time with our teams, which, goes to the second part of your question. How do we think about leadership? How do we think about leading our sales professionals? And what we discovered together, and this was really amplified post-COVID, although we had started working with her prior, is we were gifted by our founder. I mean, Hilton's 105 years old. We were gifted by our founder with a legacy purpose to spread the light and warmth of hospitality. That's our North Star. That is ultimately our North Star and our guiding light. And that when you think about sales professionals, and if it truly is a noble profession where we are solving customers' problems, what she helped us identify was where we deliver the greatest value is when we internally connect our work to how we are impacting a customer. So customer impact, how what we do every single day impacts our customers in a meaningful way in support of spreading the light and warmth of hospitality. It really helped us create a stronger connection between what our sellers do day in and day out, not focusing so much on revenue and profit, but knowing that if they actually focus on customer impact, revenue and profit will come. Because what we're doing is we're serving our customers in a way that really adds value. It creates customer loyalty. It certainly helps motivate our sales teams. It gives them a connection to their work, and also gives them a connection to something bigger than just the daily drill of selling. So to your question on purpose, I am very passionate about it. I appreciate the opportunity to talk a bit there.
Intriguing to me. I'm listening to you talking about Hilton, obviously, and I'm thinking, but this is the same for small business owners in our industry. And all the people I'm coaching, one of the aspects I said, culture is the most important. Values is the more important. You're talking about helping the customer, looking at the customer impact. And so I have two sub questions for that. The first one is, how do you recruit people that you think will have the right attitude? And how do you train them in terms of building that culture on a daily basis?
Yeah. No, you're exactly right about the critical importance of understanding customer impact relative to small to medium-sized businesses. I mean, obviously, understanding what customers needs and then delivering the products and services that really help those customers, irregardless of the business you're in, is absolutely vital. But to your point also, we're only going to be as good as the people that we put on the team, right? So whether it's a small business with a handful of folk, or whether you have a large sales organization like we do here at Hilton, ultimately identifying people that share the commitment to building a culture that truly does value this notion of delivering on a noble purpose is really what's going to make the difference in the long run. So again, I'll quote a couple of authors, and people give me some stuff about it from time to time, but there's a few folks that I have really embraced and have kind of incorporated into how I think about leading and cultivating a culture within a team. And one of the authors that I really do like a lot is Patrick Lencioni. He's written a lot of books, The Five Dysfunctions, but one that we really feel strongly about within Hilton Sales is one called the Ideal Team Player. And the Ideal Team Player is a framework that says, listen, to build the right people on our team, on your team, you need to find people that demonstrate three core virtues. And that's humility, the hunger or the ambition to really support and drive both personal, professional, and team performance. And then having emotional intelligence. So these three virtues of hungry, humble, and smart are three things that we look for day in and day out. We hire against it, we performance manage it against it. We don't think we succeed in delivering upon that customer value, truly delivering customer impact, if we don't have people on the team that truly value um, the philosophy of humble, hungry, and smart. And we talk about, demonstrating humility. It's really about prioritizing a team first set of attitudes, right? It's, willing to learn, but not at the expense of others, willing to contribute or celebrate achievements of everybody, not just themselves. Certainly in sales, you want to be, strong minded and you want to perform, but you've got to do it in a way that is also demonstrating humility. So when we're looking for someone who's hungry, yeah, we want them to be super ambitious. We want them to, want to go after it, especially, with a small to medium-sized business in a space that's so competitive. You want that hungry attitude, that drive and ambition, self-motivated, goal-oriented. You certainly want all those, but you don't want it at the expense of the others on the team. It can't be, me versus them. It has to be one that truly demonstrates a team spirit. And then as it relates to just being, smart or emotionally intelligent, it's recognizing that people skills, especially in the hospitality space, is so vital. It's not just about being intellectually smart. It's about really demonstrating that emotional intelligence, the adaptability in an ever-changing world, the ability to remain agile and really navigate all the interpersonal nuances that are just so critical in today's business environment.
But that makes total sense. I had a corporate event agency for 20 years, and I know that the way agency owners are buying today is evolving. Plus, there is the all the software and automation. Plus, there is AI coming in, which is very exciting. But how do you adapt to that we talk about sales professional? How do you make sure that you can still, as you said, have the relationship with the buyers and also helping them achieve their goal with all this new environment? In other words, how do you adapt the sales
Yeah.
professional to the new way people buy their meetings and events?
Right. Well, the B2B buyer, the folks buying and procuring meetings and events products has definitely changed. And it was only amplified post-COVID, right? So we've seen a really rapid change in B2B buying behaviors. And we can do a couple of things. We could sit back and think that we are going to continue to engage with them and sell to them the way we always have, or we can modernize and really understand that on the individual side, travelers are looking for choice and control. They want to be enabled to shop, research, and book and do it all on their own. When we all book our own travel or procure our own, travel experiences. Well, the B2B buyers, especially in the meetings and event space, really no different. Similarly, on their buying journey, we have to acknowledge that they want a balanced approach. They want to be able to self-serve, so digitally engage with us in a variety of ways. They want to completely self-serve for some things, but in other cases where it's more complex, it's a more complex meetings and events purchase, they want to have that trusted advisor still available to them to support and provide assistance. So we are really thinking about how we in sales, and this, isn't just Hilton. This is just how there's a lot of places to go to learn about the difference in the changing nature of B2B buyers and what they expect from a B2B sales professional. First of all, research says they rather not deal with us at all for their simpler needs. They want to digitally self-serve, right? They acknowledge that they want help when they want it and they want it available. And then they say, when it's really complex, I need someone I can really trust and count on. So we've been thinking about the evolution of transitioning from leading sellers. So every business has a sales force. If you're a sole proprietor and you are the sales force, you've got a business that has sellers. We are thinking about transitioning from leading sellers to leading selling, the function of selling, because selling is now happening across multiple channels. So we at Hilton specifically now are thinking about to catch up with the change in buying behaviors. We actually have to be where our customers are. We have to meet them where they want us to be. So I think about selling now as, this triangle, and I've got digital self-serve capabilities that we're now putting out into the marketplace. So for the next generation of buyers and the folks that have really, come up in the meetings and event space in the last, 4 to 6 years, weathered the COVID storm, they want to do far more research on their own. They want to self-serve for super simple stuff. So we are enabling that selling channel with digital self-serve solution. They can book meetings and events, real-time inventory and pricing online. They can engage with us from a corporate travel perspective with a digital product that's designed just for them, self-serve. But then you've got customers that truly want the direct sales relationship, the trusted advisorship, the support. And those customers still need to be serviced by talented sales professionals who, again, customer first, selling with noble sales purpose, truly trying to solve problems. And then the third piece is, listen, I want to do some research on my own. Sometimes I want to book directly, or sometimes I really need your help because it's super complex. But there's other times when I'm going down a booking journey and I just might need some help. So I want some voice assisted support from time to time. So digital self-serve, direct sales, and voice assisted are the three sales channels that we are now having to solve for to catch up with the evolving nature of a B2B buyer. B2B buyers have changed. If we just try to sell or service them with one mode without thinking about the entire ecosystem, we're going to miss out on opportunities. And that's something we think is really, really important. And that goes to every business in this environment that has a B2B, sales relationship with customers. It's important to think that way.
Very interesting. I'm listening to you. I'm thinking, how does that integrate, with all the AI tools? And you're talking about emotional intelligence and AI and the personal relationship and the sales. So I'm just wondering, when you look at your sales team, they're evolving, how you ensure that they're up to date, that they're kind of future proof, if you want, in the way that you are interacting with your customer?
Yeah, so you mentioned AI and certainly investing in technology to create efficiency, to help support the customer buying journey. These are obviously things that everyone's talking about. And certainly, within the company I work for, we are looking for all the right ways to find the right balance between digital experiences, personal experiences. We are in the business of people serving people, but there's lots of opportunity there. But when you talk about the changing nature and how we're future-proofing our sales talent, one of the things that we are really focused on is this always learning mindset. We can't be one and done. Eric, you and I have been around quite a while, and if we decided at some point we were done learning, we'd probably be done altogether because that's just not realistic. We have to demonstrate an always learning mindset. So we've got our core sales skills courses that every Hilton sales professional goes through. But like the changing nature of our B2B buyers, we have to modernize our core sales training. We have to modernize it for today and tomorrow's buyers who are looking for, obviously, as I just mentioned, a different set of tools and a different level of engagement from our sales professionals. So we certainly, continue to invest in our learning and development programs. But the other thing that we are really passionate about, and this is just, you asked earlier about my leadership style and what I value, a coaching culture within a sales organization or in any organization, I believe is the secret sauce. When you build a team and put the right people on the team that demonstrate humble, hungry, smart virtues, but then you've got people on teams that are open to coaching, and you've got leaders, business owners or leaders that are willing to coach, you're setting yourself up for success and to ensure that you have this always learning mindset. And of all the things that I talk to people about, I was invited to spend some time with 50 folks last week who are in a leadership excellence program here at Hilton. And they always ask, what is the single bit of advice that you would provide to anybody who's really trying to progress their career? And I say, without a doubt, I say every single time, be coachable, be open to learning. Don't ever think you're done. Take feedback. It is an enormous gift. Use it, leverage it. And as a leader, pay it forward. So a coaching culture is where coaches try to extract the absolute best value out of the players, and players want to extract the best value from their coaches, and they want to get better every single day. That coaching culture is one that delivers really terrific results. And it sets the stage for ensuring that you are future proofing your teams to evolve because they've got an always learning mindset and they're open to willing to grow and learn. So, really, really important.
And I could have the smile, and I have to tell you why. In the framework I use to do the group coaching for small business owners in our industry, the very first pillar about the foundation, we talk about the 10 years vision. And the second thing, we talk about mission, values, purpose, and mindset. And I have this picture of my grandfather and me on a jet ski, and he was 91 going into a jet ski. He
Oh my
had this
God.
mindset of always learning, always, always, always learning. And to your point of giving back, I'm one of those coaches who's training entrepreneurs organization, the accelerator program, which I
Fantastic.
strongly recommend to anyone in our industry and elsewhere. But we're coaching people obviously for free, but we can see that, to your point, those who are the most coachable, those who are asking questions, are those who are making the fastest progress. It's very interesting. Like,
We have a regular rhythm within my sales organization. I bring all of our leaders, so it's about 50 people leaders, together once a month. We've been doing this now for over 7 years, 7 or 8 years, once a month. And it's just the leaders. And the entire purpose of the hour session is to improve their ability as coaches to coach their teams. And we've gotten into a rhythm where, they self-identify the topic that they want to spend time on. We look at the things we already embrace and care about, the doctrines of the authors we like, and the things that are already in our ecosystem. We leverage that material, and we tee it up for the team, and then we scrimmage. And scrimmage is how we practice around coaching skills. And the 55-minute call, 40 minutes of it is always scrimmaging, where we break out into virtual breakouts, or if we're in person, it's in person. And we practice those hard conversations. We practice coaching conversations. It's all about going on the field and practicing before you go on the field for real. And that is how we're developing coaching skills in a way that deliver real meaningful results. And that's anything. I mean, I'm using it in the context of how we deal with our sales leaders, but that is everywhere in life, right? My kids, I have two adult sons. They shake their heads when I go into my coaching conversation, lecture, because to me, it is a pathway to success, both on both sides, whether you're leading or whether you are being led. Maintaining that coaching culture is vital.
absolutely. When you say that you have to be able to have difficult conversation, in my experience, in many different environments in many different countries, there's a lot of people that say that we need to be comfortable with difficult conversation until we start having them, and then they're very uncomfortable. So it takes a lot of time and training to be able to do that. And the other thing I noticed when I was the CEO of the SaaS company, the ticketing platform using blockchain that FIFA is using, for instance, and I opened the US, Latin America for that. The main challenge I had the first 6 months was to let people know and understand that when I was asking where do they think we can improve, I really mean it. And they were afraid of saying it. But as soon as one say it and criticize a little bit, and I said, great point, thank you for sharing that. Suddenly, it opens to the point of people being able to have conversation, being able to be coachable. It takes a lot of time, and it starts with you. It starts with the leader.
That's right. No, that's really great. Great points for sure.
My other question, I'm very curious because you said that you're looking all around to adapt, to have new ideas. You mentioned several books. I'm an avid reader. Who are the people you're talking to, and what are you reading to get new ideas?
Yeah, so listen, I like to read, and there are several authors that I've mentioned, right? So Lisa McPatrick Lencioni are two that I really like. I try not to introduce too many new frameworks into my mind. I read a lot of business publications, but more often than not, I'm really engaging with some outside thinkers and cohorts. So I have participated in some chief sales officer cohorts with Gartner. I'm engaged with Forrester. I read a lot of white papers. I read a lot of just articles and/or thoughts around specific topics, whether
Mm,
it's sales compensation, whether it's the changing nature of a B2B buyer. There's just quick hits to me that are conversation starters or thought starters for me to then go do some additional research. Is kind of the daily diet that I have found to be the most successful, like right now for me. Every week I get, served up a set of articles from Forrester that relevant to the profile that I've set up right now of things that I want to learn about. So I can scan that list of, articles that they've served up. Some of them I action and actually go deeper into the reports behind them and or action with my teams. But that's one of the ways that I'm trying to stay out in front of trends. And what I like about, sometimes going outside of our own industry is that very exact reason, is going outside of our own industry for different perspectives and the recognition that, especially in sales, there's world-class sales organizations across multiple industries. And, we certainly want to be world class, but not just within the hospitality lane. I'd like to think that we are demonstrating best practices and things that really would symbolize world class regardless of industry. So you've got to go outside of your own industry sometimes to just get new ideas and fresh perspectives, and to sometimes challenge the thinking that sometimes gets a little stale from complacency or other reasons when you just stay within your own lane talking to your own people over and over and over again.
Totally. You remind me of the book, The Medici Effect, where they were explaining how they're bringing different profession. And I think there was one architect who went to an African country to see how ants were building their house so that he can translate that in a house, in an heated place without air conditioning. It was crazy, but bringing those people outside of our industry as well. Is there any author that you like listening to, like, I don't know, Mel Robbins or Simon Sinek or
So I like them all. I'll dip around a little bit. I like Simon. There's a lot of folks, but I'm right now. I'm more, the calendar I'm keeping at the moment and the travel schedule that I'm keeping at the moment. It has been most helpful for me to consume written material largely when I'm on flights and stuff. So the pulling down articles, staying on top of trends that way has been the easiest lift. And then I've been reserving a little bit of bedtime reading for just pure joy these days, just trying to cleanse the mind. So it's the book at the nightstand is not intended to instigate, business thought, but to just instigate a little bit of other thought. So Kitchen Consequential and a few other things that I'm reading now, just trying to get me excited about other things that I have passion points on in life. So.
Wonderful. Frank, I know you have a busy schedule and I really appreciate the time. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you before we leave, as the head of the global sales for Hilton, what's new and exciting in the company? You deemed 2025 the year of the travel maximizer. If you can elaborate a little bit on that. And then my last question will be but I'll tell you that already, but in 12 months, when we'll be meeting again with a bottle of champagne, what are we going to celebrate? But let's first talk about Hilton and talk about the year of the travel maximizer.
Yeah, so every year we publish a trends report, at least for the last several years. And 25 we've labeled as the year of the travel maximizer. And there's a bunch of really great research and consumer trends that really support that. But we just about 30 days ago we put out a special edition called the Meetings Maximizer. So the 2025 also is the year of the Meetings Maximizer. And in response to that, we've also published a white paper and some supporting tools and resources around what we're calling the world's most welcoming events. And the reality is The year of the meetings maximizer is essentially this idea that attendees are looking to maximize every aspect of their experience for meetings and events. And you think about the rise of this work from anywhere culture to the increased demand for certain types of business. We've seen an increased demand for overall group travel because of small group meetups and all this, offsites and things, and incentive travel is on the rise. But the reality is, as we see a new generation settling into the workplace, there is an entirely new generation that's redefining the future of how we work in offices and elsewhere, and how we really experience in-person connections, and they want more from it. So in the meetings maximizer, this report around the next generation of meetings and events, what we talk about is how meeting event planners and attendees are looking to take advantage of every minute. There's things like extreme preparedness, where today folks, before they go to a meeting, they want to make sure they're getting every second of value out of investing that time and energy. They want agendas. They want meal prep. They want to see menus in advance. They want to understand who's going to be going along with them. So many trends like this have been identified in this special report. And it's really forcing us to think about, if we're going to continue as sales professionals and event professionals to deliver to our planners and to the customers who are procuring for attendees, if we're going to deliver that kind of value, we've got to arm them with research and then, solutions, things that we do in the hotels that can enable supporting customers and attendees in the way they want to experience in person. Again, I have a 24-year-old and a 27-year-old. You think about those are my 24-year-old went to his first conference last week. Never attended a conference before. But that's who we're preparing for. So I'm quizzing him. I'm like, well, what'd you do? How did you prepare for it? Were you prepared? But everything he was sharing with me is exactly what we've learned from this. Is they don't understand this new generation. They're uncomfortable with networking, or they don't know how to network. They don't know how to attend a networking event and derive value from it. So some of the tools that we've created in our world's most welcoming events playbook are things designed to help planners create environments where people can get the most out of the event. So we've got to keep an eye on it, because the way of work and the way of connecting face to face has absolutely changed. We talked about how sales professionals need to evolve. Well, how we're delivering our meeting and events experience on property needs to evolve to support the changing consumer behaviors, and especially of the rising generational workforces that are, certainly in our purview now.
Absolutely. And training them to maybe more soft skills and networking, to your point. What I think will never change is, even with AI, people want to experience unique moment, unique experience, and that you cannot do online at all. Is there a link, or maybe your team can send me a link that I can put in the show notes where people can download the report?
Absolutely. We have our Event Ready playbook on our websites. And within the Event Ready playbook is this work around the world's most welcoming events. We'll make sure that you have that so you can share it with the audience. It's really great research. We teamed up with Jason Dorsey, who is a generational researcher. He's fantastic. And we've had him speaking to our customers at thought leadership events for the last year and a half. But he, along with our teams and some outside support, did this research work. And it's really, really great work. It's identified specific things that we in the event space can do, and the event planning space can do, to improve ultimately the conference attendee experience, and to ensure that we're thinking about the future and not just the way we've always done things. It's forcing us to think a bit differently. I love it. It's really, really, really great.
It's very exciting and inspiring to listen to you. So thank you very much, Frank. Before we leave, I want to ask you my last question. So in 1 year, when we see each other face to face with a bottle of champagne, what are we going to celebrate?
So listen, the thing that I get most excited about is just the unbelievable growth that we've had at Hilton. So, this past year, we added over 800 hotels in 2024 to our portfolio. We're up over 8,400 hotels, 130 countries. And our pipeline's the biggest in the business. We've got over 500,000 rooms in the pipeline. We're going to open, more than a hotel a day. When we're together, Eric, the next time, we're going to be celebrating the continued strong growth of our system. But we're also going to be celebrating some really awesome milestone hotels. The Waldorf Astoria, well, the Waldorf Astoria in New York is opening again this year.
Wow.
Next year, we will be opening Waldorf Astorias in Sydney, Australia, Harbor overlooking the Opera House, and in Tokyo. And we'll be celebrating some unbelievable new additions to our Hilton portfolio, and always enjoy celebrating that. So I think that's probably what I'd have to call out.
Wonderful. Frank, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Eric. It's always great spending time with you. Have a terrific day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Business of Meeting podcast. I hope you found today's episode valuable. If you enjoyed the show, the most important thing you can do is leave a review and share it with your colleagues. It really helps spread the word. I truly appreciate your support. And if you're ready to take your business to the next level, don't forget to visit eventbusinessformula.com to learn more about how we are helping even business owners like you. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.